Yesterday, I'm recording this on June 27th. Yesterday, I made a dumb tweet because I saw in the trending topics there was a guy called Dr. Disrespect who is a gamer. I thought that was a stupid name, so I made a tweet where I said that my name would be Mr. Manners. This was the biggest mistake of my life.
Oh, man, it's really great. I would categorize the people yelling at you into distinct groups. You have the people who think you're cringe and shitty, and you posted some really sincere bad shit.
There's one person who is in that category who I honestly love, and I've made it a policy I don't respond to any of the fucking replies, but I really want to respond to this guy and just be like, I love you. Where he posted a picture of a woman standing at a counter, and her stomach is sort of hanging on the edge of the counter, and she's rolling it with a rolling pin. And then there's a deep fried meme text that says "Aborto alla Italiano." And I'm just like, hell yeah.
You don't even know if he's against the tweet.
I think he just wants that to happen to me, but I'm the animosity has been overtaken by how much I enjoy this fucking meme.
The other group that really just floors me are the people who think you're sincere and dumb, but they're trying to give you streaming advice.
Let me just actually fucking read some. You'd be the most boring channel to watch. There are ones that are like, hey, if you do that, you're not going to get very many subs. That kind of persona doesn't really go over on Twitch.
Yeah, I don't know if you looked at market research, but kids these days are really into being rude. Manners are not polling well.
I mean, honestly, you may think that you just got to be honest with yourself, but if you look at the analytics, it's incredible.
I'm amazed at how many people were like, is this a troll, or you better be trolling? And it's like, it's not really trolling, you're just being a dumbass.
Yeah,
you're not tricking anyone.
There is a definite subset of people who are like, is this real? Who don't know that I'm telling a joke. But you pointed this out earlier today, and it really chilled me to the bone. The people who are saying, are you trolling, are not the same category, because there's a difference between trolling and telling a joke. They see this and they think is this a trap for me? Am I being tricked? And I'm like, no, I just think the name Dr. Disrespect is silly and dumb.
Yeah. And also, you are being sincere and telling a joke, because you would be Mr. Manners. That's not a joke. You're just saying what you would do, and and it's funny.
That's the reason I don't play online video games, because I'm Mr. Manners. And again, the people who are giving me sort of market research are right. I don't do well because of that. My persona doesn't go over. I think, though, that my favorite of the categories of response are the people who aren't getting, they don't get that it's a joke, but they also aren't mad at me. They're just like, hey, friend, I believe that you haven't properly done your research and that you're speaking from a place of ignorance when it comes to Dr. Disrespect and what he's about.
Oh, those are the best. I don't know how you have a hobby of video games and you walk through life completely sincere. It's the dumbest hobby. I love it, but it's dumb.
And I don't know shit about Dr. Disrespect. They're right. But judging from the fact that he has that name, and there's a picture of him that was on the trending sidebar where he definitely looks silly on purpose. So am I crazy to think that a Dr. Disrespect fan has watched hours of a person goofing for fun, and yet they're just well, I have no fucking clue what this is.
Yeah, this guy this is who he is. None of this is exaggerated. This is exactly who he is. Tom, we've been friends for a while. I've given you lots of advice. By far, the best advice I've ever given you is when I told you that you need to change your display name to Mr. Manners.
Yeah, so I did that. I changed my username on Twitter to Mr. Manners, the pro gamer. And because of that, it is the best advice I've ever received. Because of that, one of the best and funniest things ever happened, where someone replied to me saying, I hope this is a troll, which, there are dozens of people who have said basically exactly that verbatim. So there's nothing unusual about that. But this particular post was posted after I changed my display name to Mr. Manners to Pro Gamer. And someone responded to that person, who asked, I hope this is a troll, saying, read his username.
Like, people don't goof about usernames.
Yeah, a username can't lie.
Yeah, if a guy's named Cucker Carlson, he's actually
fucking Tucking Carlson's wife.
Yeah. I don't know how you spend that much time on the internet and not understand that half of it's bullshit and, like, for goofs. But these are also the same people that are, like, going to be completely radicalized by the YouTube algorithm, so...
And, like, it's not lost on me that if but one chromosome were different in my DNA and I were born a woman, I would not be laughing this off.
Yeah, you'd be swatted by now for sure.
It's, I think the lesson that we have to take away from this is never address gamers in any way. Treat them as though they don't exist and their hateful clan will never come to you.
Tom, I don't want to, like, step on your success for posting a very stupid tweet, but what if he was called Dr. Dick Respect and he just complimented gamer hogs? That'd be pretty good, right?
Joe, what's better manners than complimenting a triumphant hog?
Oh, yeah, Dr. Dick Respect would be like a segment he does.
Okay, yeah, no. You know what? Actually, a lot of these people have given me advice that this wouldn't lead to a lot of subs, but I think we gotta make this real.
Yeah, you gotta get weird facial hair and be like, yeah, bro, your dick is poggers. Like, just real awful shit.
Fuck. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime Sickos, the podcast for geniuses, the only podcast where we take a look at the four pillars of modern misery, anime gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko. Tom, other than you getting yelled at by just the smoothest brained people, has anything else happened online? I've been pretty good lately.
Oh, about staying off?
Yeah, kinda. Like adjusted for how much time I was spending online, the only 9 hours I do a day is a huge improvement.
I'm so proud. Well, sort of the big answer that covers it all is that everyone's fucking insane, and the meltdown may never ended, and it never will. That's just life now, and brains don't work. But I feel like you're asking me to get more specific. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that's been happening that's sort of my favorite thing to follow has been, Joe, you're familiar with the concept of the rap beef in hip hop, right?
Yes, I am. I'm like lame, but like that's pretty bad. Yeah, I'm good. Yes, I'm familiar.
Yes, at some points, rappers do not like each other and put insulting phrases in their rap songs. This has happened again, but Joe, we live in the posting world now. You know that, like, music doesn't exist. Like, no album has ever sold, like, more than 10 copies in, like, the last 15 years. And music just isn't real. So we are not in a world where that is possible anymore. We're in the posting world. So rap beefs are going to have to adapt. And they have, Joe. They have. I need to tell you about the latest rap beef between J. Cole and No Name, which is 100% posting based. It's literally only about posts.
Well, that's good, because, like, a lot of rap feuds, they name, like, streets that I don't know about. So this, I'm probably going to have an easier time following.
A lot of rap beefs are like, your Wallies are shit, and you're like, I don't know what that means. What is a Wally? So, okay, here's the deal. We got J. Cole. Famously went platinum with no features. I don't know when that album came out. I don't really know anything about J. Cole other than I listened to the album where he went platinum with no features. To be fair, I listened to it one time, which is really not enough time to digest a rap album, and I don't really have any strong memories of it. I didn't turn it off midway through, so I bet it was fine. And I bet if I listened to it more, I would think it was good. But who knows? So he's sort of like the one with the power. And then on the other hand, we have No Name, who is like an independent woman rapper who also kicks ass. She is fun because a couple of years ago, she posted a post that was like, just so you know, capitalism's not evil. Evil capitalists are evil. Like, get it right. And everyone was like, you're fucking stupid. Like, lady, you're dumb as hell. Your brain's smooth. Which, like, the story so far is what happens every single day to everyone in the world. Anyone with any sort of entrenched power does that every day. It's like brushing their teeth.
Yeah.
What's different about No Name, and this is sort of like a superhero origin story type of thing. It's like imagine someone got a bunch of like toxic waste splashed on them. You'd be like, oh, well, they definitely died. Except no, this time they got powers. She was like, oh, really? Let me do some reading. And then she came back a month later like, I'm a full-on hardcore communist now.
Oh.
Yeah, and she is a very outspoken activist, especially now with all of the fucking racial justice uprisings against the police and capitalism in general in this terrible country. She's been a very outspoken activist for that. She hosts a book club where you read fucking radical literature. And she's like, yeah, a full-on, unapologetic communist and capitalism abolitionist, police abolitionist, prison abolitionist. She kicks ass. She also decided to give up touring and performing live because she was becoming sick of the fact that all of her crowds were white people. And as a person who is white, who has been to alternative rap concerts, she is right the fuck on the money.
Yeah.
So here we have our principles. So No Name is on Twitter, as any good communist is, posting. This is just the way that she does her business. The inciting incident is one particular post. And to be clear, I'm going to be reading primary sources from now on. These are rappers. They're going to be using the N-word. I'm not going to. I'm going to replace it with people for reasons that should be fucking obvious. So she says, No Name says in a tweet, poor black folks all over the country are putting their bodies on the line in protest for our collective safety, and y'all favorite top-selling rappers are not even willing to put a tweet up. People's whole discographies be about black plight, and they're nowhere to be found. So she just posted that, yeah?
Yeah. Accusing the world of not posting enough.
Exactly. You have to be posting. You have to post more. So you're definitely thinking this is just a post. No way that this could start a rap beef.
I'm guessing no. I'm guessing no. It's probably going to start one.
It did, Joe. You're right. Because what happened is like a day or two later, J. Cole, just out of nowhere, drops a single with no sort of advertising. He just drops it called Snow on the Bluff. And what this song is about is that No Name's tweets have a very aggressive tone, and I don't like that. Let me prove it to you. So here are the lyrics. Again, not going to try to fucking rap these, and I'm going to replace the N-word with people. It's the best I can do. Quote from J. Cole, Snow on the Bluff. My IQ is average. There's a young lady out there. She's way smarter than me. I scrolled through her timeline in these wild times, and I started to read. She mad at these crackers. She mad at these capitalists. Mad at these murder police. She mad at my people. She mad at our ignorance. She wear her heart on her sleeve. She mad at the celebrities. Low-key, I be thinking she's talking about me. Now, I don't know dummy to think I'm above criticism. When I see something that's valid, I listen. But shit, it's something about the queen tone that's bothering me.
Ooh.
Legitimately, he's saying her tone. He's a tone police. It's literally that. It's I don't like your. She's right, but I don't like her tone.
Ooh, that's I don't know. That's not very hip hop. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say tone policing on the on Twitter is probably not up there.
I thought her tweet was too shrill. Yeah, great job, J. Cole. Then the next day, he posts a thread on his Twitter. Here's how it goes. He says, morning, I stand behind every word of the song that dropped last night. Right or wrong, I can't say, but I can say it was honest. Some assume to know who the song is about. That's fine with me. It's not my job to tell anyone what to think or feel about the work, but I accept all conversation and criticisms. But let me just use this moment to say this. Follow No Name. And so basically he's like, I'm not going to say who it's about, but you should follow No Name. She's so smart, and I would never say anything against her. Now, this is shitty for two reasons. One, it's passive-aggressive, and two, it breaks Poster's honor, because he's like admitting fault, which you should never do.
Right.
And Joe, do you think it's over then? Do you think that's it?
Well, no, because it's about posting now, so it won't end.
That's correct. Because in addition to, so he dropped this song, he posted about posts. This all started from posts. No Name doesn't take this lying down. She comes back with another single called Song 33. And let me read some lyrics off of that. This is specifically about J. Cole writing and publishing his little song about how her tweets were too crude. Quote from No Name: basement studio when duty calls to get the verse out. I guess the ego hurt now. It's time to go to work. Wow, look at him go. He really about to write about me when the world is in smokes, when it's people and trees, when George was begging for his mother saying he couldn't breathe. You thought to write about me? So this wins the beef, like, to be clear.
Yeah, that's a nuke. That's the Call of Duty thing where you get 10 consecutive kills, and then you get to nuke the map, and the game ends.
Fuck. He's done. He's absolutely atomized. And Joe, in better days, before posting, this would be the end of it, and J. Cole would be cowed and embarrassed, and No Name would enjoy a bump in popularity for ethering a rival rapper. Joe, do you think that's what happened?
No, I'm gonna... what's the worst thing that happened, and then some version of that I didn't think of. That's probably what happened.
So, what she did was the ultimate poster's sin. I mentioned that J. Cole committed this sin in a less major way earlier, which is a poster can never sort of admit fault. They can never go back and sort of apologize for a tweet. They can never say that anything they did was wrong. This violates one of the posting tenets that a post has to be a first draft. If you go back and say, I regret doing this post, that's technically a second draft, and it robs your initial post of all of its posting mana. You get this,
even
right?
If you agree that like someone is right,
exactly,
you are duty bound to respond with a single question mark until they get upset.
No Name posted a couple days after she released Song 33 saying, quote, I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'm not proud of myself for responding with Song 33. I tried to use it as a moment to draw attention back to the issues I care about, but I didn't have to respond. My ego got the best of me. I apologize for any further distraction this caused.
Ooh.
So here's the problem, Joe. She's technically right if this wasn't posting world.
Yeah. If this was like a conversation, like in the real world and not on the bad website.
Yeah. But what happened, predictably, is every J. Cole fan who was like, he's correct that your tone is cruel. You are turning people away with your bitchy tone. All of them showed up and were like, aha, you admit it too. You lose the beef now. You've rescinded your victory now. Ha ha ha. J. Cole never had anything to apologize for. And it sucks to see. Yeah. So, like, this was the first, as far as I know, the first 100% posting-based rap feud. And it ended in a disappointing injustice because I don't think either party fully understood posting mana.
No, you can't apologize, especially in a high-profile thing like that, because that's blood in the water, especially when it's like two competing fan bases. Oh, no good.
Yeah, because J. Cole is very much your mainstream rapper. No Name is very much like your indie alternative, like real lyricist rapper. Different fan bases, and one of them is a lot angrier than the other.
One larger than the other.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been seeing online.
That's pretty good. This site sucks. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
Joe, one thing that I love, and I hope you agree, is that we are an independent show.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength here. I love being independent.
Yeah, because we don't have anyone to answer to, we can sort of like be fearless about what we put into this show.
Yes, like nothing we can say will make stamps.com stop giving us money.
Yeah. And like I think because of that, like we're a lot braver and purer and more authentic than shows that, that are beholden to some entity.
Yeah, there's like definitely a punk rock vibe here.
So Joe, do you wanna do an ad read?
Oh yeah, more than anything in the fucking world.
Let's sell out.
Yeah, man. Oh god, I was waiting for this to happen.
Yeah, folks, it's our first ever ad. This is an ad for a Kickstarter for a game called Monster Care Squad from Sandy Pug Games. I'm going to read some fucking copy. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Monster Care Squad is a tabletop role-playing game set in the tranquil world of Ald Amura. I like that it's tranquil. Starting off good. The peaceful state of the world is threatened. Oh, shit! Oh, no! When a mysterious poison known as the false gold finds its way into the veins of the world's monsters, causing terrible, maddening wounds, which drive these incredible beings into uncontrollable rages. I hate that. I hope that doesn't maintain. I hope that is fixed. The once unbreakable bond of harmony and respect between monsters and humans is on the brink of collapse, and it's up to you and your allies to set things right. Oh shit! I called it. Awesome.
I hate games where you and your allies have to watch things get worse.
When a tranquil and peaceful world gets upset and it's like, that's not what you care about. You care about something completely different. Well, that sucks to me. I'm glad that this game is different and does the correct thing. You play as monster care specialist, elite vets. Oh my god, elite vets equipped with the knowledge to heal any wound given enough time and preparation. One, I love that you get to be vets. And two, I like that the game just tells you, like, you can do anything. That kicks ass. In the game, you travel the amazing Miyazaki-esque world, going from town to town in hopes of finding monsters infected with the false gold, diagnosing their illnesses, crafting cures, and healing their minds and bodies of the strange magical wounds which drive them to destruction. To do this, you'll solve problems, investigate the land and its mysteries, and apply the skills, abilities, and knowledge you'll build up through play. Joe, have you watched Mushishi? Because this sounds exactly like that show.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that's like the ghost show where he's basically just a therapist, where he goes around like fixing problems, thus making spirits chill and stop vexing people.
Yeah. He just goes around and someone's like, I'm really having a lot of trouble with my life. I feel empty. And he's like, it's because you got a depression ghost. And he's like, damn, how do I get rid of it? And he's like, you got to do this very difficult emotional thing. And the guy's like, I don't want to do that. And he doesn't do it. And then like it doesn't work. And then he's like, I have to accept the sacrifice I need to make. And then he does the thing he got told to do, and he gets better. Mushishi kicks ass. This also sounds like a kicks ass. Let me continue. Inspired by games like Monster Hunter. Oh shit!
Oh man, yes. Yeah, I'm hooting. I'm stamping my feet.
Monster Hunter Journey and Shadow of the Colossus and the films of Hayao Miyazaki, Monster Care Squad is hitting Kickstarter July 3rd with the goal of $6,500. $25 gets you the game. There's a few stretch goals. One gets every backer an art book. Another unlocks a soundtrack with a limited edition vinyl record. There's also an introductory adventure and talk of other expansions too. Oh my god. You gotta go to the Monster Care Squad Kickstarter. You got to do it. We're going to include a link.
We will, and I will be excited to back it. I really like the idea that the goal of the game is inherently restorative. It's not like kill kobolds forever.
Yes.
That is a important distinction, and I'm excited about it.
So yeah, Monster Care Squad by Sandy Pug Games. Get on that. That's our first ad, Joe. Do you think we sold out properly?
Yes, I have an ad for Red Baron Pizza next.
We'll save that for next episode.
Cogdom.
I gotta say, it sucks that, like, the major conceit of this show is about how offices are bad, because now they're, like, done.
Yeah, Cogdom's over, it stopped, and it will never come back. The premise of our show is inaccurate. A quarter of our content is just, like, nothing.
Right, and, like, we could talk about work and how it sucks and everything, but the specific office flavor, I think the sun is setting on that in a real way. Which is not to say offices are going to go away. It's just the way they were before won't be around for a very long time. There's going to be a lot of hygiene theater where you're encouraged to go back to the office and pretend everything is cool.
Yeah, someone who is much, much worse off than you is going to spray a horrible spray that does nothing but makes his lungs go away every night. And you're going to come in and your bosses are going to be like, damn, we sure are doing our due diligence. But, like, just overall, yeah, I'm feeling more and more like Cogdom just stopped happening. Like, even if people are going back to offices, I think there's going to be enough businesses that are just going out of business or fucking fire everybody or just decide, not to come back. That, like, the shape of Cogdom that we have come of age in and that we know about is just bye-bye. It's bye-bye.
It's gone. And if I was like a business tyrant and I owned, I don't know, some mid-sized business with an office and I have all my employees remote and I'm noticing that like business is continuing fine, suddenly I'm going to be like, well, why am I paying for fucking rent in a building somewhere? I imagine there's going to be a lot of reduction of office footprints as people are encouraged to go full remote. And again, the people who make the world work cannot be remote, and they will, of course, bear the brunt of, the fucking hellscape that's unfolding.
Like something we've always meant to sort of look at with more intention, we've brought it up from time to time, is that being a cog is like 1,000 times better than being one of the people who makes the world run, who are in a much, much worse position, that don't have the fucking creature comforts of a cog job.
Yeah, like my grandfather worked on the railroad, and like a fridge fell off a train and crushed his leg. And like the worst thing that can happen to me is I get bored. So they're not the same.
Yeah. But now, like, the people who have it worse than us also have Rona and are dying. So, like, fuck.
Yeah, this also sort of made it abundantly clear that the purposes of offices were never collaboration or encouraging productive work. Offices were always there so bosses could like look at all their employees like they're Funko Pops.
It was a fucking trophy case for sure, where you look at all your little guys and it's like, I got so many little guys.
Yeah, and the same thing whenever I've interviewed places, many of which I did not get the job, but they always talk about like, oh, we have this huge state-of-the-art cafeteria, all this stuff. And like the purpose of that is to just make you feel more comfortable about being in the trophy case. And now that's gone. Like I would imagine corporate cafeterias will not exist in the way they have in the past in the next few years.
Yeah. And like another thing is that even if at some point companies are trying to bring people back, it's always been possible for fully remote work to be fucking indistinguishable from normal company functioning. And like, where I'm at is like, if I'm ever asked to come back to the office, I'm just going to be like, no, I'm not. Fire me if you're mad about it. But I don't think you will. 'Cause like, it feels more and more like the mask, which was never very well affixed, the mask that on Cogdom has just fallen the fuck off, and everyone can see it. And like, no one is pretending that they don't see it anymore. That's another thing, like office culture, a lot of it is pretending you don't know what's going on. Like, you can't say what we're all experiencing.
A huge part of being a good white-collar worker is just pretending good vibes only.
And just like, I don't see it going back to that, which is not to say that I don't think there will be businesses that force you to go back to that or you're fired, but it's going to have a very fucking different vibe. That sort of like breezy cog energy that suffuses offices is not going to be there anymore. It's going to be something much more like gross and caustic.
Yeah, and I have friends that are in various, offices, and what I'm hearing from them is that, yes, there is plans to bring people back safely, and I put safely in quotes, because, like, they're going to make cubicles further away, or, like, elevators will have a maximum capacity or whatever. that really gives away the game right there, because the issue is not necessarily the office themselves. It's like, if you live in a city and you don't have a car, you take the train or the bus. So how does a downtown function without cramming people into tight spaces?
It don't. You gotta stick your head into the Rona petri dish every day.
Yeah, and the fact that like a job will be like, yes, you'll be exposed to the virus when you're crammed into a guy's armpit, but when you get to the office, you'll barely get the virus.
Also, like, as far as I'm understanding the risk behaviors and like what is most likely to give you Rona, pretty much the worst thing you could possibly do is be in a building with a stranger, which is like, that's offices. That's literally what they are.
Yes. Offices are gross. I try not to think about like what is on my mouse at my desk at work. Like it's probably just my germs, but still, it's like disgusting. Every door handle, disgusting. And I just like can normally bury that because I'm not a huge germaphobe, but the game has changed.
Yeah. Fucking germs unlocked a special new ultimate ability. They're much stronger now.
The other aspect of this that I'm already like sick of and hasn't even happened really yet is like this idea of hygiene theater. It's gonna feel a lot like when 9/11 happened and every airport had very in-depth security checks that, of course, like really didn't stop much, but it was the act of doing it, the act of performing it, that gave the idea of safety.
If I had to stand in line for an hour, well, that's 1 hour's worth of security that just got applied to me, so I'm safe.
Yes, and I feel like you're going to see a lot of big companies doing a similar thing where they will make a big show about like reduced elevator capacity and increased distance, and all of that is better than nothing. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but it is not a magical spell that removes all risk from your life. I saw videos of Vegas reopening, and I have you been to Vegas?
No, literally I can't think of anything I'd enjoy less.
I had to go there because I had a job where I did videography for a car show once. Vegas sucks. I can think of no place that is less attuned to me and my vibe. And that was before I was thinking about how every surface is contaminated. I've seen pictures and like videos of people playing poker behind like sneeze guards, and like, okay, cool, you're still fucking touching all the cards.
The whole point of card games is to shuffle them around so you don't know who touched which one last.
And what is a dealer but a stranger who gets his paws on everything?
It's true. So we all know now that Cogdom as we knew it is dead. What's taken its place, and this is specifically for us lucky enough to not have to fucking go out and interface with the public. Those people are the fucking forgotten people of the world whose suffering is thousands of times more than what any person would ever deserve.
I feel like anyone who physically has to be places to clean and cook and move, you can just sort of categorize all of that work under the larger header of working in the COVID mine.
Yeah, God. But for us cogs, having now done 3-4 months of cog work completely divorced from the cogdom culture, it makes me fucking ill to know that like this work exists, because it's always been pointless, and it's just so much more terribly stupid and numbing. And I think personally it's emblematic of a sort of shit singularity where all things that are in our lives are just getting worse and worse every day.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of smarter people who read more than us who can find points of optimism in the current moment. I'm not going to claim to be that, but it really feels like every aspect of American life is like decaying and sort of converging on itself in like a really shitty way. I think like a perfect example of this is the internet. It just sucks. Like the internet as it was 10 years ago was better. Like there were more sites, You could get maybe paid to write something that wasn't a listicle. And compare that to now, which is like the internet is basically a series of big box stores, either actual stores or just like information in the case of like Twitter or Facebook or whatever. And it just feels so obviously there to extract metrics from your eyes for ad revenue purposes. Like anytime I use my phone to look at a mobile site, especially a news article or something to read, it's awful. There's like a pop-up. It sucks. There's auto-playing videos. It's garbage. Chrome, the actual Android app for Chrome, does not allow extensions. The reason for that is because the first extension everyone fucking gets is the ad blocker one, and Google is in the business of ads, so why would they give you an extension that makes less money for them?
Mm-hmm. And like even aside from just like the user experience of the recreational internet being terrible, now that Cogdom is over, every Cog job is just it's become posting. It's always been posting, but we had to go to a special building to do it, and now it's just posting. So like not only is like the recreational internet terrible and awful and just converging on itself in a shit singularity where everything is terrible in the same way, now like work is just Slack. That's all work is you're on Slack or email, which is the same as Slack. And then when you go to socialize with your friends, you go on like Discord or Zoom, which is the same as Slack. And Slack is bad. They're all bad.
Like Slack exists to replace email, which it does, and it does have integrations with other apps, which is definitely like a productivity boon in some ways. But email, although urgent and you're expected to check it, never had the sense of I must monitor this fucking channel the way you are with Slack, because like every Slack, or we use Microsoft Teams at work, which is just Microsoft Slack that sucks.
They all suck. It's all the same.
They're all bad. But now it just feels like I have like work FOMO because I have to always look at the right channels and respond to stuff like immediately in a way I never felt with email. And to be clear, I always had like the low-key anxiety about like getting an email and having to like respond to it in short time. That was always the case. But whatever is happening with the Slackification, I find that way worse.
Like especially because there's so many different channels, and each post can be the start of a new thread, and you have to open up. So there's so many times when I'm like checking a channel to see like, is anything relevant here? And I'm just like, oh no. Oh, but there's threads. Let me open them up and see if there's anything relevant here. Oh no, there isn't. There's never anything relevant, because how could there be? But again, it's that same sort of FOMO. It's like, well, I gotta check them all. With email, at least you see like everything is just one fucking line on the graph. It's just one bar, and it says the subject, and it has the first line, so you can just sort of glance and know. Slack is just like, ugh, it's a nightmare. And it's everything. That's the world now. That's where we live our lives.
To be clear, we also have the current issue where like if you are working remote in a job where there is Slack in many ways has turned working from home to just like you now live at work. Like you feel sort of weirdly obligated to check regularly. And I work in like, I do a lot of communications work related to like IT stuff. And now when I have to like gather information for stuff, I now have to check like 80 different channels, just like bullshit things, like looking for crumbs, because every time in the past few months since we've made this shift to MS Teams, it feels like I prepare a communication as I was instructed, and then it goes out, and then an hour later, someone I haven't heard of is like, "Oh, you didn't see this detail in this hidden channel? That why would you ever look at it?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know about this. I'm not even a part of this group." So I feel like it is now my job to sign up for countless potential inboxes.
God,
which is way worse than a single inbox for Outlook, because like at least an email is like a modular entity, right?
Yes,
like it's big stream of information, but each email is a single entity. There is no equivalent of that for Slack, because you just have a line in a chat room, and It's not necessarily actionable, but you still must process the information and use it on something that you're working with. It just feels like more information with even less clear expectations.
And, like, far be it from me to speak well of offices, but, like, when I was at office before Cogdom went away, I was using Slack and all these apps just as much. I didn't ever talk to anybody because all the people I needed to talk to for my work, like, weren't around. So I was using all that internet shit anyway. But the fact that I was in the little trophy case so the boss could look at me and say, that looks good. Like, there was two components of my existence at Cogjob. I was the internet that sucks and the building that sucks. And now the building that sucks got took away, and even though I'm not using Slack any more than I was, it is causing me so much more fucking psychic damage because that's
it made your house suck. Like, now you live in the house that sucks.
I'm sitting right now to record this fucking episode in the same chair at the same desk where I do my work, where I make my reports.
Yes, no good.
It's very bad, and part of what makes me feel so, like, hopeless and pessimistic about it, because, you know, like, it's bad, but it's also not going to get better. Like, the Cogdom is over, but they're going to make us come back anyway. They're going to pretend that it isn't, and it's going to hurt in a huge way. The reason I think that prognosis is so grim is because the sort of standard, well-meaning, but dim, liberal mindset is that the world is and has always been pretty good and it works. And if there's a problem, you just have to open a bug ticket. You have to open a ticket, and then that'll fix it.
Yes, I really have a huge distaste for this patch mindset about all of life. Like, look, you don't need us to talk about the police brutality stuff in detail, but when people who are like, oh, they're banning chokeholds now, they can't do that anymore, and, like, they are comforted by that fact, never mind the fact that chokeholds were, like, generally always barred. It's not a magic spell that stops a cop from doing it.
Yeah, and also, like, murder has been illegal for a very long time. Like, that already is on the books, that you can't kill a guy.
Yeah, like, so, like, this insistence that you have these huge systemic issues with every fucking facet of society, and you just need to, like, roll out a new HR policy and the problem goes away, while never addressing underlying issues. That mindset has always been around. It's in fact very popular. Incrementalism, that's basically what it is. But it just seems very stark and obvious these past few months.
It's like... and, like, these people who have the patch mindset where it's like, I will simply release a patch that fixes the problem, and then the world, which already works, will continue to work, and then the broken part will be patched, and everything will be fine. Like, the people who have this mindset cannot seem to understand the idea that you got, like, the whole system is bad. You have to get it to go away and do a better one. Like, a lot of times when you propose something like that, like, they get mad at you because it's like, well, how dare you say that the way things are that we worked so hard for isn't good. And it's like, I'm not trying to make, like, I'm on your side. Like, I also want things to be right, but your way sucks ass.
There is this very much American phenomenon that I never really understood, where if you critique, I don't know, let's say the status quo or just the way things are, people get, like, defensive as if it's, like, an attack on them. And I never understood why. And I think part of it is you're not supposed to peel back the curtain. Like, shut up, dude. Stop doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And also, I think if the person you're talking to has benefited from the status quo, because it's like, are you saying my gains are ill-gotten? I worked hard. And it's like, well, one, yes, but on the other hand, like, no one has gains that are well-gotten. All gains are ill-gotten. That's right. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it just feels like, and I think this is a huge part of why the Silicon Valley mindset sucks so bad, because when you have all these like technology driven mindset people who basically set the tenor for like what work is, that's another thing that sucks about the past 10 years is like this huge cultural weight of startup culture that like everything is just a code problem. You can just write some good code, you can fix the problem. Well, the problem is like the code.
Yeah,
like there's nothing you can write in JavaScript that makes JavaScript something else.
Yeah.
it's gonna stay.
And like there, as you know, there are nationwide protests against racial inequality and capitalism and the police and fucking just everything, the whole status quo. That's what the protests are against. There has been sort of flashes of hope with that, because it's not everyone, but it's at least a lot of fucking people, and a lot of people who aren't, going to the protests are still seeing this, where you see a lot of people with their eyes open who are fed up and who are willing to take that step and change things. And for a while I was like, oh man, this is great, this is inspiring, and maybe it will still work. These protests are still ongoing. We don't know. The fucking bottom line hasn't been written yet. Maybe it'll work. I fucking hope so.
But then the patch mentality creeped in again, and now it's like, well, in response to police brutality, Aunt Jemima's gone, which like Aunt Jemima sucks. Like I don't care, but like you can't really think that like that's a huge drop in the bucket.
Yeah, and like
to the problems.
Like we're still gonna spend $2 billion on the police, which is a military gang that kills you and laughs at you, but we're gonna paint a nice phrase on the street. It's gonna look so cute.
Yes, I saw something about like we need to hire more female police officers, and it was just like the hire more female guards tweet, but in real life.
Yep.
And that was really gross, because like that's not going to change the fact that, in I don't know, whenever the eviction moratorium ends, with this jobless rate as high as it is, and in general just people not having fucking incomes because there's not going to be another check. I'm happy to be wrong, but I don't think there's going to be another COVID relief check. You're going to be looking at mass evictions, and mass evictions isn't just about kicking people out of their homes. You have an entire society that also criminalizes being homeless. So like,
and when something is criminalized and the fucking police department kills you, it's a capital offense to be homeless, basically.
Yeah, it just feels like everything is a conveyor belt that's like going into a big furnace.
And I know that like it was always, the Bernie Sanders movement was always like, Bernie's not the key here. It's the movement. It's the platform. This is not about the person. This is about a movement. I believe that in my brain, but I can't tell you how much it hurt when fucking Bernie Sanders came out and was like, I too condemn the police behavior, and I think we must immediately release a patch for the police. And I'm like, are you fucking stupid, you old bitch?
Yeah. He lost to a guy whose brain doesn't work, who's now hiding in a basement and polling at insanely high levels. I think we can agree that, like, regardless of the concepts of justice and, like, a fair world, Trump losing to a guy who can't talk is the funniest outcome.
It's extremely funny.
Like,
it's
hilarious. It is funny.
I recently experienced a breakthrough that made me feel so good, which is that my mom, who is in many ways a standard, lives specifically in that her sort of sense of humor with regard to Trump is like, look at this Cheeto, he's dumb. Which, like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, they did that during the Bush years, too.
Yeah. But then, one day, out of the blue, I forget what he had said, but he had said something fucking hilarious. And she just, out of the blue, texts me, and she's like, as much as I hate him, I have to admit, sometimes he's extremely funny. And I'm like, you get it.
Yes, like, no, he's an unmitigated bad thing. But sometimes he just says some shit that's funny. Looking at things very strongly. Man.
there's a fucking character in My Hero Academia who makes support items. She basically, that's her thing. She wants to make like gear for other superheroes. And she does technically have a power. It's useless. It's that she can zoom in on things with her eyes. And fucking, her power is literally to look at things very strongly. But that's not important. Fuck. Joe, I think to close out this Cog Talk, where we talk about how Cogdom is gone, and I don't know how we'll ever do a Cog Talk again, because nothing new can ever happen. Fuck. I think we gotta eulogize Cogdom. It's dead. We gotta say some nice things. So, Joe, I want to ask you, have you ever had any weird Cog jobs that have actually been pretty good?
By Cog job, you mean anything with like a wage that kind of sucked and not necessarily sitting at an office?
Yeah, let's open up the definition for the purposes of goofs.
Okay. I asked for that distinction, and I just thought of another computer job. Sorry, dude. I did copywriting, specifically SEO copywriting for auto parts for a while, and it was kind of cool to write something I truly and completely did not give a shit about. Like, to be completely free from it. I can be like, man, oh man, the Honda CRV, what a beaut. Just like absolute, like, just detachment. I don't have that with my current job because, like, extensively, I do like communicating technical concepts effectively. But that wasn't the case with that job. So I got to, like, go in there and, like, method act a guy who thinks cars are neat for 8 hours a day.
You could dance as if no one were watching.
Yeah. So that was kind of freeing. And I miss that in some ways just because it also dispelled the notion for me, which I think was useful, that, like, a job where you quote unquote write is inherently desirable. A thing I thought for a while. No longer thinking that.
My first ever job that I ever got paid for, I forget what year of high school I was in. I'm going to say junior year just cuz, but I may be wrong. I was in high school for sure. It was to sort of be a odd job doer around a elementary school and church that was the main priest guy was a guy my family knew, and he was like, hey, does Tom need a job doing odd jobs?
Because we have an opening for a teen groundskeeper Willie.
I mean, pretty much, dude, it was a fucking full grade school and church, and there was one handyman and then me. And so basically I just came to work every day having no idea what I would do. I went up to the handyman and was like, hey, what do I do? And he would tell me something to do, and then I'd do it, and I'd go home. So I had never done any fucking paid work before. I'd never done an 8-hour day before. I was like, I wonder how this is going to be. Am I going to fucking make this work? And I went, and I was feeling nervous. And I met the guy, and I was like, what do I do today? And he's like, well, you know all those weird, very thin black carpets in schools that have, like, rubber on the bottom? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you know how people walk on them all the time? They get extremely dirty? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, all right, here's all of them from the whole school. And it was a huge pile. And he's like, now there is a chain link fence. And I'm like, got it. He's like, what you're going to do is you're going to hang the carpets over this chain link fence. And I'm like, got it. What's next? And then he brought out a power washer.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's been all downhill from there.
Oh, man. There's like a really suburban dad in everyone who loves power washing, and you haven't activated him unless you power washed. I power washed a pool cover once. The way you get to see all the grime flow away from the tarp. Oh, it's like that's definite progress.
It's Joe. It's exactly the appeal of a gun. It is 100% the same feeling as shooting a gun at the same intensity too, but without like the sort of icky taste of like, oh, this is a machine for killing. I'm shooting a gun that's making the world better. Like when I did that, my dick grew 3 sizes.
And also, a power washer does not run out of ammo the way a gun does. It's like a hose. Like you have the hacks. You have unlimited ammo.
Yeah, and like because of that, you can do it for 8 hours straight. And I did, and it was so fucking good. And here's the thing. Here's like the fucking tastiest treat. That was my first 8-hour day. I got to the end of it. I'm like, that ruled. I loved that. Seeing like the fucking straight line on the fucking carpet where on one side it's clean and the other is dirty is so fucking satisfying. And I did this all day, and look at that. I still have half the carpets left to do tomorrow. That was the 2 best days of my life, and then every other day of work has been the worst shit in the universe, and I hate it.
Yeah, the third day they're like, this is a broom. We really opened with the power washer to kind of fuck with your expectations a little.
Literally, I think the next job I got was like, here is a junk room, and they opened a door to this little room that was like full to the brim of like shit, just like useless junk and shit. And they're like, we need this room to be empty. And I'm like, where does all this go? And they're like, that's your problem.
It's like, you gotta eat it, idiot.
Joe, is there anything left to say? Or are we done with this episode of Anime Sickos?
No, I hope someone smarter than us can convince us that things aren't trending as grimly as we believe them. But at the same time, I'm also really wary of people who have, like, radical optimism, which I think is also, like, a dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm. And that said, as pessimistic as we are, if you are lucky enough to have a fucking cog job like this, where you sit at your computer and you get a check somehow, I don't know how that fucking happens, but if you are one of those people, I imagine that you probably have less, monthly spending than you used to when outside was real. So I really, really gotta fucking urge you to donate your fucking money to causes that need your support. Because, fuck.
Yeah, I used to spend, at bars I would spend every year, I'd say $40, and now I'm not going. So
what a savings.
That $40 is going towards, a bail fund or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, neither Show the Skewer put out a statement that has a ton of fucking links to places that you can give money to, and I have been giving money to them because, again, what am I going to do with this fucking money? And again, as you say, like, we don't know if these fucking protests are going to change the world, but if they are, they're going to need money.
Yup.
And if you got money, just come on, like, just give them some money.
Pay up.
Yeah. Anyway, I have been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I am Joe, an Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at Sharia Uncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.